Okay, the last of our non-animal kingdoms is kingdom fungi. We've already studied plants. We did that at the beginning of the year. We've looked at kingdom protista. We've seen kingdom prokaryota, domain prokaryota, kingdom monera with the bacteria. And kingdom fungi, we're just going to take a quick look here so you know that it exists. Again, these are ubiquitous, just like bacteria. Funguses everywhere. All right, the difference between that, there's a couple of things that the reason that fungi aren't classified with plants. The very first one is, of course, that they don't do photosynthesis and they can't make their own food. That's a major thing. But another difference is a cell wall. Cell wall of plants is made of cellulose usually. Cell wall of fungi are made of chitin. Cell walls of fungi are made of chitin. All right, and like we said, fungi are not autotrophs, don't make their own food, don't do photosynthesis. They are heterotrophs, which means they have to eat stuff. And usually they are saprophytes, which means they eat dead stuff. Okay, saprophytes. Sometimes they are mutualistic. Lichens are an example of that. Lichens are a mutualistic organism that is made up of fungi and algae. So and you've probably seen that in the forest somewhere. They can also be parasites. They reproduce by making something called spores, which is a little like seeds that they kind of blow out at certain times of the year. Examples of fungi are food molds, which is phylum Zygomycotes, yeasts, phylum Ascomycotes, mushrooms, phylum Basidiomycotes, and other food fungus that are similar to, but not quite the same as the food molds. Food molds are the phylum Deuteromycotes. All right, fungi can be pathogenic. You might have experienced some of these diseases called by fungus. Athlete's foot is one. We talked about that in health. There are certain types of pneumonia that are caused by funguses. That means it gets in your lungs and it causes this inflammation of your lungs. Something called valley fever is a fungus, and that's a little fungus that lives in the dirt of the San Joaquin Valley here. Lives in the dirt and the dust. Can make you pretty sick. Invades your lungs, creates pneumonia there. Yeast infections. This would be, you can get a yeast infection anywhere in your body. Very often women get yeast infections in their genitalia, but men can get that too. Sometimes you can get yeast infections in the mouth. Babies, this is a common thrush is what it's called. And babies, this is something that's more common in babies because if they're nursing babies, they can, from their mom's skin, can get invaded by some kind of yeast, and they get this little yeast infection in their mouth, and it's not comfortable, it's not fun, it's not deadly or anything, but I want to try to avoid it. Meningitis can be caused by a fungus. Meningitis is the inflammation of the meninges. The meninges are a covering around your brain and your spinal cord. So if you get a little infection in there and that gets infected and swollen and all kinds of stuff, it can make a bunch of problems for you. Meningitis can be deadly, although usually it's a bacterial form of the meningitis that's deadly. And we talked about ringworm in health class, causes a little rash, usually in a ring. That's a fungus.